Hello and welcome to Business 360. I am Ashmit Kumar and here are the headlines that we're tracking this evening. Sensex Nifty end with marginal gains after a range-bound session. Investors tread with caution across the world ahead of the Fed rate decision this week. Gold prices hit a fresh record high. RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das says that there needs to be a closer look at the future trajectory of inflation. This comes days after August retail inflation quickened marginally against projections that it would drop to a 5-year low. Das told CNBC that interest rate decision will be based on the future trajectory of inflation and growth. SEBI withdraws earlier statement blaming external elements for the recent protests by its own employees, alleging toxic work culture. Promises to address the concerns of the employees amicably through internal channels. A bumper listing for Bajaj Housing Finance shares make Dalal Street's debut at a premium of 115% over its offer price. The Oberoi family feud escalates 10 months after the death of PRS Oberoi. Anastasia Oberoi cites that the will to stake claim alleges a conspiracy by step-siblings and cousins to corner the assets. Vikramjit Oberoi and Arjun Oberoi oppose Anastasia's claims before the Delhi High Court, which has ordered for a status quo for now. With state-run companies meeting 32% of the capex goal so far, government is strongly reviewing the strategy for financial year, aims for dividend consistency along with value creation. Government received nearly 64,000 crore rupees as dividend last year. Chennai police detain over 100 Samsung India workers, including union leaders, ahead of the planned protest march. Workers who have been seeking higher wages, among other demands, have boycotted work at the tech giant's Chennai plant for the last 7 days. The Aam Aadmi Party top brass likely to discuss who will become the next Chief Minister of Delhi today. After being released on bail, Arvind Kejriwal decided to step down tomorrow. Says he wants a certificate of honesty from the people of Delhi before sitting on the Chief Minister's chair. Former US President Donald Trump is unhurt after another apparent assassination attempt while he was playing golf. The 58-year-old suspect was detained while attempting to flee. The suspect has a lengthy police record and said he was willing to fight and die in Ukraine. Shogun hacks Baby Reindeer and The Bear win big at the Emmys. Hacks wins the Best Comedy Series. Shogun wins the Best Drama Series at the 76th edition of the awards. Well, let's start with a quick look at the day's market action. The Sensex and the Nifty ended with marginal gains. After a range-bound session, Sensex gained nearly 100 points and the Nifty gained about 30 points. The mid-cap index gained over 200 points, ending at a record closing level for the second straight day. Nifty Bank Index also gained over 200 points. And we're on to the commodity space now. Gold prices hit a record high of nearly $2,600 an ounce. Prices of the yellow metal have moved up 3% in the last week and have increased 23% in 2024 so far. Most brokerages have set gold prices in the range of $2,600 to $3,000 per ounce as their 2025 forecast. The price movement in gold comes ahead of anticipated U.S. interest rate cuts. Well, speaking of commodities in the crude oil space, prices rose in trade as investors have their eyes fixed on the U.S. Fed. However, the gains remain capped by persistent demand worries following a hurricane in the U.S. and weaker China data. Brent crude continues to hover around $72 a barrel. Well, before we bring you more big news, a big exclusive interview coming up later this evening. Tune in at 5:45 p.m. when Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman speaks to Rahul Joshi on the state of the economy, growth, inflation, GST, and much more. Well, time now for a CNBC exclusive. RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das has said that any future decision on a likely rate cut will depend on the trajectory of inflation and growth. Das's comments come days after CPI data highlighted that inflation had inched up marginally in the month of August against projections that it would drop to a 5-year low. In an interview with CNBC's Tanveer Gill, Das also expressed optimism about achieving the 7.2% GDP growth target laid out by the RBI.
All segments, all components of GDP growth are, the momentum is very strong. The only element, the only component which slowed down was government expenditure, both central government expenditure as well as expenditure of the state governments, perhaps due to the fact that that was the election season in India. So going forward, I would expect the budgeted amounts will be spent by the central and the state governments, and then they will be able to catch up. So we are quite confident about the 7.2% growth which we have projected in our current year's assessment. And interestingly, international agencies like the IMF and the World Bank, which had earlier projected, they have upgraded. They are all at 7%. So we are reasonably confident that the 7.2% growth will be achieved this year. So it's not so much how the inflation is now. We have to look at, for the next 6 months, for the next 1 year, what is the outlook on inflation. So therefore, I would like to sort of step back and look at more carefully what is the future trajectory of inflation and growth, and based on that we will take a decision. The growth momentum continues to be good. India's growth story is intact, and so far as the inflation outlook is concerned, we have to look at the momentum, the month-on-month momentum, and what is the momentum of inflation, build up or moderation, either way. So what is the momentum of inflation trajectory in the coming months? So the outlook we have to look at. It has to be a forward-looking approach. So based on that, we will take a decision.
Well, you can catch that entire conversation with RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das at 5 and 7:30 p.m. right here on CNBC TV 18. Well, from the banking to the markets regulator, SEBI has withdrawn its earlier statement blaming external elements for the recent employee protests against an alleged toxic work culture. In a statement, SEBI has also promised to address the concerns of the employees amicably through internal channels. They added that this will be managed in accordance with high governance standards and within a time-bound framework. Remember, SEBI employees held a silent protest and wrote to the finance minister expressing their concerns on toxic work culture in the organization. In a response to this, SEBI issued a clarification on the 4th of September, rebutting the allegations of employee mistreatment. They added that the junior employees were misinformed about automatic promotions and their compensation structures. And well, it was a bumper listing for Bajaj Housing Finance. The company's stock listed at 114% premium over the issue price on the bourses. The stock ended the day more than 130% in the green. The 6,560 crore rupee public offer, the largest of the year so far, was subscribed nearly 67 times. Speaking at the listing event, Sanjeev Bajaj, Chairman and Managing Director at the Bajaj Finserv, said that they are expecting 12 to 15% credit growth in the housing industry.
Relevant ones. We've had very strong growth, but this is in the background of a very strong, consistently growing economy. And if you look at credit cycles in India, we expect steady credit growth at 12 to 15% in the housing industry. And on the back of that, we are enthused that we can continue to grow strongly. The economy is showing very strong tailwinds, and that's what gives us this comfort.
Well, over 100 protesting workers at the Samsung India factory in Tamil Nadu were detained by the police. As per a Reuters report, officials have said that the protesting workers were planning a protest march without the requisite police permission. Workers at the plant have been boycotting work for over a week now, demanding higher wages and better working hours, among others. The government has pushed for a review of capital expenditure of central public sector enterprises. Sources have told CNBC TV 18 that the government is aiming for dividend consistency. This move comes as the centre is working on finalising new capital management guidelines for the sector. Sapna Das joining us now with more details. Sapna.
Well, what we are given to clearly understand is the government is strongly reviewing the capex strategy of various CPSEs. And if you look at some of the names that we are talking about, NLC India, Mazgaon Dock, both have met over 100% of their capex aim for FY25. These are followed by a number of strong performers like NTPC, Power Grid, Hindustan Copper, and a stack of OMCs, which have met actually 40 to 60% of their budget outlay in terms of capex for the current financial year. Now, having said that, the overall target for this year set out for CPSEs in terms of capex is around 3.41 lakh odd crore, and up to August, what we are given to understand is that 32% of this aim has been met. Now, we also need to keep in mind a small a fact over here, which is basically that year on year, the capex outlay, or rather the capex aim to be met by CPSEs, has kind of come down slightly, and maybe because the government itself has a very strong capex plan over 11 lakh odd crores for the current financial year. So if you put both the numbers together, you have a hefty aim to look at, so to speak. Now, within the same context, it's also important to note that the government is actually working on the new capital management guidelines for CPSEs. A lot of work has already happened on this front. We're given to understand stakeholder consultations over, and soon these guidelines are going to be announced. Having said that, what the government basically looking at is basically value creation along with dividend consistency. Now, the basic norm so far has been that 30% of the PAT or 5% of the net worth of CPSEs has to go in as annual dividends. We'll have to wait and watch and see whether that rule changes or there are some other things that come out in the new guidelines, which are expected shortly. Last but not the least, the new capital management guidelines that the government will come out with are part of their 100 days agenda. So that's on the annual pretty soon.
Right, Sapna, thanks a lot for that. Now, the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade has launched a digital platform called Bhaskar. The platform will be aimed at strengthening India's startup ecosystem and will go live on the 16th of September. The government's initiative will be designed to centralize and enhance collaboration among key stakeholders within the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And Mercedes-Benz India has unveiled the new EQS 580 SUV at 1.41 crore rupees. This will be the 6th EV in the company's lineup and comes 10 days after the launch of the Maybach EQS 680. Assembled entirely at Mercedes facility in Pune, this makes India's the first market outside of the US to produce this model.
Any car line, forget EVs, has to be also localized to get the cost efficiencies, because customers are not ready to pay a premium, and therefore we need to bring the price point at a level where the acceptance is. I think that's the same direction for the EQS SUV. Also, we have 11 cars now in India which are localized. 95% of the portfolio that we sell in India are all from locally produced cars. So that clearly shows the advantages of localization, trying to get these car lines. Last year, our EV was 2.5% of our total portfolio was EV. This year, first half, we are already at 5% of the portfolio is EV. So we can see definitely EV sales growing.
Well, with that, time now for a short break. But coming up, the Aam Aadmi Party top brass likely to discuss who will become the next Chief Minister of Delhi today. More details when we come back on the other side. Welcome back. Now, the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has announced that he will be resigning from his post tomorrow. This comes days after being released from Tihar jail. Addressing his party workers, Kejriwal said that he wanted a certificate of honesty from the people of Delhi before sitting on the Chief Minister's chair. Meanwhile, the top brass of the Aam Aadmi Party will likely discuss who will become the next Chief Minister of Delhi today. Among the frontrunners are Minister Atishi. She spoke at the News 18 India Chowpal earlier today.
क्या मैं भावी मुख्यमंत्री से बात कर रहा हूं क्या? हंसिए मत, बता दीजिए।
देखिए, कल हमारी विधायक दल की बैठक है, तो फैसला वहां पर होगा।
इतनी सारी मिनिस्ट्रीज आप संभाल रही हैं।
देखिए, फैसला तो विधायक दल करेगा। दूसरा, मैं एक बात आपको जरूर बता सकती हूँ, आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार जो दिल्ली में है, उसका मुख्यमंत्री कल कोई भी बने, आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार दिल्ली की जनता के लिए काम करती आई है, काम करती रहेगी। हम कभी भी काम करने में पीछे नहीं हटेंगे।
Well, the fourth edition of the Renewables Energy Summit kicked off in Gujarat's Gandhinagar. This is the first time that the summit is being held outside the national capital. Prime Minister Modi called on top investors to invest in India. Abhimanyu Sharma reports on the green energy push.
The fourth Global Renewable Energy Investors Meet and Expo is being held in Gandhinagar to highlight the work which has been undertaken in India's green energy sector and to attract domestic and foreign private investment. Inaugurating the summit earlier today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that India is the only G20 country which has achieved its climate goals in advance on the back of an unprecedented work which has already been undertaken in the renewable energy space.
ये रूफटॉप सोलर की एक यूनिक स्कीम है। इसके तहत हम रूफटॉप सोलर सेटअप के लिए हर फैमिली को फंड कर रहे हैं, इंस्टॉलेशन में मदद कर रहे हैं। इस एक योजना से भारत का हर घर एक पावर प्रोड्यूसर बनने जा रहा है।
States are working on policies to promote renewable energy, not just to attract investment, but also to generate jobs and help overall development due to green energy.
Asking the investor to invest in the state of Goa, especially in the renewable energy, in the solar energy, wind energy. We have already done much more reforms in the renewable energy. Now we have already floated a tender for the wind energy. So future, some policies or subsidies if we want to give for the renewable energy also, that we are ready to give in the renewable energies.
Offshore wind, that is one area we have to work it out because of east to coast. We are having largest coastal line. Not only that, other areas also we are working in a big way. It's a matter of time, you will know. Now, in technology age and also green energy and green hydrogen, lot of opportunities.
State of Telangana is going very aggressively in renewable energy production and all. We have a lot of scope in solar power, wind power, and even pump storage and the floating solar also.
देखिए, हमारे देश के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री जी का संकल्प है कि 2030 तक रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी 500 गीगावाट करना है और छत्तीसगढ़ राज्य भी उसमें अपना भागीदारी निभाएगा, क्योंकि छत्तीसगढ़ में वन ज़्यादा है, 40% से ज़्यादा भूभाग वनों से आच्छादित है, इसलिए वहाँ सौर ऊर्जा की ज़्यादा गुंजाइश नहीं है। फिर भी हम लोग सौर ऊर्जा पर ही ज़्यादा ध्यान दे रहे हैं और वहाँ के जो डैम है वहाँ पर फ्लोटर पैनल भी करने का हम लोगों का प्रयास है।
मुझे संतोष है कि हमने भी लक्ष्य लिया कि 2030 के बजाय 2028 तक ही हमको जो बिजली नवकरणीय ऊर्जा का जो टारगेट दिया हम उस पर काम करेंगे और निश्चित सफलता की तरफ बढ़ेंगे। अभी तक मध्य प्रदेश का ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड भी है कि तीनों फॉर्मेट में हम बराबरी से काम कर रहे हैं। हम सोलर एनर्जी में भी करने वाले, विंड में भी करने वाले, हाइडल पावर में भी बराबरी से बढ़ेंगे।
Apart from a continuous focus on solar power, hydropower and offshore wind are emerging areas in which states are looking to boost their renewable energy capacity, with subsidies also on cards in several states. In Gandhinagar with video journalist H.K. Patra, this is Abhimanyu Sharma for CNBC TV 18.
Now, the Maharashtra government has completed its 90-kilometer-long Panvel-Padga transmission line. The state government says that the transmission line will bring an additional 2,000 megawatts of power to Mumbai and other areas in the Mumbai metropolitan region. CNBC TV 18's Santya Gora reports that the state government is confident that this additional power will mean that the Mumbai metropolitan region never sees a power cut again.
This power line runs for 90 kilometers and carries power from the central integrated grid to feed the substations that power the Mumbai metropolitan region. It's taken Sterlite Power over 4 years to complete and has cost the state exchequer 900 crore rupees. The administration and the company say this power line will go a long way in ensuring Mumbai never again sees a blackout like the one it saw on the 12th of October 2020 when a day-long outage brought the city to its knees.
Mumbai consumes about 4,500 megawatts of power, and it produces very little of that. This project will bring 2,000 megawatts of power into the heart of Mumbai. One, it brings continuous supply of power and ends load shedding and trippings. Second, it should reduce the cost of power supply in Mumbai. The cost of power in Mumbai is significantly higher than other metro cities in India and around the world. That's number two. And perhaps the most important, bring green power to Mumbai, which is now available in different parts of the country like Gujarat, Karnataka, Rajasthan. Bring all of that at really low cost for the residents of Mumbai.
As the initial deadline was December 2023 and you guys have missed it, what's, if you can help us understand the reason, responsible for this delay of almost 9 months?
See, the biggest reason is COVID. As you can understand, for 9 months in that period, we had zero work, right? Complete standstill of work. So I would say if you don't count that period, actually we have commissioned ahead of schedule. And projects in this part of the country have sometimes taken 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, 8 years to complete. So compared to that benchmark, I'm really proud of my team. I think we've done a really good job.
Right, but the construction actually started after COVID.
Right. So all of the planning that happens, route surveys, all of the things we require to mobilize on field. And once if there's a complete curfew on the field, you can't straight away start construction on the day one. You require 9 to 12 months of preparation, clearing rights of way, getting approvals. It requires hundreds of our people to be able to move freely. So without that, we were unable to finish this. But I think net, a fantastic achievement.
Mumbai's average power demand is 3,500 megawatts through the year, but during summers and in October, demand touches 4,500 megawatts. The administration says the new line will cover the spike in demand and simultaneously help ensure that no household in the Mumbai metropolitan region has to suffer long drawn-out power outages. In Mumbai, Santiagora.
Well, at the 76th Emmy Awards, the 4 big winners were Shogun, Hacks, Baby Reindeer and The Bear. Hacks was the best comedy series of the season, while historical epic Shogun was named Best Drama Series. Meanwhile, Anastasia Oberoi, who featured in Shogun, won the title of the Best Actress in the drama series, and Best Actor title was awarded to Hiroyuki Sanada, who also featured in historical drama Shogun. Series Baby Reindeer, Shogun and The Bear took home 4 awards across different categories. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business 360. More news and updates on the other side.